I knew nothing about
No. Hmm. So strange. Oh, I think we are. Yeah, come on. I think we got it.
that.
I think we got it. Let me get your window. There we go.
She's countries.
So yeah, something happened yesterday. What was that?
Well, we had a little craziness, some shenanigans went down in the capital.
Oh. Shenanigans in the U.S. Who would have thought it?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought, given the year that we had, there'd be more shenanigans?
Yeah. You'd think that after 2020, everyone would be like, let's just chill for a bit. But
yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it was kind of wild, just as an American, proud to be. Yeah, it was crazy just to watch that unfold. Actually, one of my friends who's not from the U.S. kind of alerted me to it. I was like, gosh, this is just concerning. Watching the initial news reports yesterday. Yeah, and how Capitol Police had their guns drawn and barricaded the floor of the Senate, I believe, and just seeing mass looters and rioters. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. It's I don't know how you feel about it. I'm like, I don't know. It's it's a crazy thing, but at the same time, I'm also a bit like, it's not that crazy, I don't want to belittle it because it is a big thing and it's more than just. So I think there are 4 people who were killed, right?
I remember just the report of one woman being shot by Capitol Police, unless something has unfolded since then.
I haven't checked this out. I just picked 4 people up somewhere, but maybe it's like 4 people taken to hospital or something like that, or unaccounted for.
That's something.
Probably. So, I just think that because I don't know, it's it's a bad thing to say on the internet, and it's in poor taste, but it's a bit underwhelming as well. Can I say that? I think the historical value of it is immense. I think that you would think after consistently outsider candidates overperforming against everyone's expectations in consecutive elections, you'd think that people started to change how the political system works. It hasn't happened, and when Hillary Clinton was appointed as the presidential candidate, and even Biden after her, it sends a very loud message that we will continue business as usual. And then I think a lot of people turned to Donald Trump because he was he was either a messiah and a savior, or if nothing else, a huge catastrophe that would make the country change, force it to change. And I thought, it would probably be a huge catastrophe. But I was very disappointed in 2020 because he kept saying such stupid things. And one thing is that people believe in him, but another thing is that the Democrats and the moderates and the left didn't have, they still couldn't beat him, or just barely, now. And I'm like, come on, if you can't beat that, that's your own fault. And I think my summary of last night is maybe, finally, hopefully, the lesson has come that something is very wrong in this country, and it won't just be solved by another election. But I also felt when I watched it, it's symbolically and spiritually a big thing. But it's also being pushed up as something horrifying, something that it's horrifying, but it's, I don't know. I'm just thinking my scale of horrifying is like barbarians burning Rome, So maybe I read too much history in order to talk about politics.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess you could say it was pretty tame when you look at much more flawed democracies around the world,
Yeah.
and just what they have to endure on a day-to-day basis. It's not uncommon, or even after like a football or soccer match. It's in the grand scheme of things, it is like you said a little underwhelming. Um, yeah, right or wrong term to use there, but I think in the grand scheme of American history, it is shocking. It is astounding. It's unprecedented. It hasn't happened, not in the modern era at least. And so I think that's what really caught people off guard. I mean, even just watching like the videos of the Capitol Police having to retreat and then barricade themselves, you can tell people caught off guard.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected that to happen.
No.
And even different steps of it happening as well.
Right, and yeah, I mean, you can kind of get into a lot of it. I guess I try to stray more away from just personal opinion and more just into here are the facts as reported. Which again, it is just ridiculous when facts are a contested terminology, or truth is a contested
alternative facts.
Exactly, alternative media, alternative facts. I was talking to a friend. I guess it was the day before yesterday or Monday of this week. Just how Fox News in the U.S. has pretty much ceased to be irrelevant, at least to its base. And its base was, tended to be more right-wing people, evangelical Christians like myself, who wanted to get a different take on the news and what was happening. And essentially, you're just picking your biases at that point. But after the rift between Fox News and Trump, you have things like Newsmax, where we're seeing like a surge in its popularity among the same types of people that might have initially tuned in for Fox. And that's kind of become concerning when you have alternative, almost fringe media, like Breitbart or other things like that, starting to take root. That does become concerning. And, it's one thing to say that, okay, maybe we'll see more extreme ideologies and their impact in the political, social sphere create these more fringe media that then rise to the spotlight. Or maybe it's because, more mainstream media has shown itself to be overly biased and just poor journalism in general. I would say it's a bit of both from my
I would say my issue is that I believe that alternative media is incredibly important for society, because what alternative media is literally just free press. It's like you don't need an enormous corporation funded by the single richest person in your state to tell the news,
Right.
But the problem is that fringe or like small-scale media is disproportionately. It takes so little money to invest, compared to how much political reaction you get from it. So people who it basically becomes geared towards the fringes in this political, economical world at the moment.
Yeah.
But this is like, I mean, even as Protestants, and this is my big. It's a big conflict, or not a conflict, but it's a tension, because Protestantism is basically based on the idea that no, you can figure out your facts. Like it doesn't take a priesthood to understand the world, and that's we mentioned in the last talk. I think that in a sense, Protestantism might have started all this in the first place.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's very important to have alternative media. It's just media. But when it turns into fringe media, that's an issue. And my whole point here was going to be that the news media has started to learn so many lessons from the old fringe media, like BuzzFeed and these kind of things, that they are no longer paragons of truth. You know, they are low quality, high moral reporting, both on the left and the right. And then it's like, well, the difference between that and Breitbart is their political stance and their rapping, but their ideological goals have different colors, but are the same largely. That's a very broad statement that should be qualified, but you can't qualify those statements on YouTube videos without people switching off.
I think that is kind of the concern, is just how sensationalist, and this is a whole side conversation, but how sensationalist media has become. Increasingly so, I would say, over the last maybe decade or two. And, it's more or less concerned about your perception of facts and how they are in a certain manner and influenced by a certain perception or ideology. Essentially, presenting facts serve a broader mission or goal or aim, which I find really unhelpful. I mean, just a crazy example, I feel like, was RT's covering of this is 2016, but RT Media, which is owned by the Russian government.
Oh yeah, Russia Today. I was like Rotten Tomatoes.
They covered in 2016. They covered a third and hosted, I believe, a third-party candidate debate in the U.S. Which to me, I was like, this is great. This is great that we're having this.
Yeah.
It's just so sad that it took Russian media to do it. And that was their platform. And I think it was the old scientific party in the U.S. that got accused of, I think she had stock in RT or some sort of tie to the Russian government.
Yeah.
I mean, so did both Trump and Clinton. I guess if you're just a rich person, you will have ties to Russia.
Yeah. It's like you can tell those allegations coming a mile away, you know?
Yeah.
Assume when you're in a presidential debate, because they're going to say whatever they can say to get you discredited. And if you ever touched Russia, then it's going to be Russia. At least as a presidential candidate.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Trump and Biden as well. It's like, okay, who didn't touch Ukraine? It was essentially, who has sketchier ties to Ukraine is what it boiled down.
Yeah.
Who is more compromised by having ties to Ukraine? It's like, well, that's not the conversation we should be having.
Yeah.
But there you go.
But yeah, I had a realization today. I'm very disappointed in the attack on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Because there was not a single Hawaiian shirt there.
There was a buffalo onesie or outfit, thank you.
Yeah.
Some other interesting apparel choices.
I feel like that guy should be the person of the year for 2020, even if he did nothing. He is like the symbol of 2020.
Yeah, which is actually a modern compliment.
Yeah, but I will just explain. I'm getting a phone. I have to go now. I will just explain why I mentioned the Hawaiian shirt, so it doesn't look weird when I put this up. And it's the Boogaloo Boys. It's a bunch of people, usually I guess right-wingers and extreme right-wingers and gun lovers in the U.S. who likes Hawaiian shirts and barbecues and call themselves the Boogaloo Boys and believe that the country is turning into a civil war, and they're just like, yes, we get to shoot guns, you know? And then there's actually a siege, you know, and they don't even show up. I'm like, get yourself together. It reminds me of A Gun in 60 Seconds. You need a role model! That's...
all talk.
Yes. But I have to walk. I'm sorry, we should talk 3 times as long. But yeah, thanks for popping in, and we can talk more afterwards if you want.
Sounds good. We've given our expensive audiences some refuses.
Let's do it. See ya.
See you, man.